Collectivism and individualism are fundamentally conflicting ideologies. The core concept of collectivism is contained to caring for and supporting the group as a whole. Individualism, however, mainly only sees the self as a sole prospect for success. What happens then when these two opposing ideas meet and they interact with feminism? Psychological horror as a genre serves as a method to distinguish and explore this conflict. Throughout this study, I will examine how Midsommar and Silence of the Lambs both tackle the tactics of advancements of feminism through the elements of setting and lighting, through the struggles between the individual and the collective. In the movie Midsommar, it takes place in two different countries, America and Sweden. The United States is more often associated with individualistic values and the economic system of capitalism, a system portrayed as where oneself is worth in association to their amount of money, which complements some characters in the film Midsommar, specifically Josh and Mark, who initially are more focused on their theses, which would give someone recognition for possibly money, instead of attempting to gain any personal value from their trip or truly interact with the community. Sweden, though, is under a socialist capitalist economy, aiding their communities while leaving room for individual growth, as seen through the small isolated village. Feminism comes into play with how both countries treat their women. The World Economic Forum has rated Sweden in the top 6 of the smallest gender gap in the world since 2006, while the US is currently in 42nd place, substantially lower. The film embraces both sides of Dani's perspective, where she was looked down upon by her supposed friends for leaving her out of a discussion going on a trip, while she grieved of the double murder suicide of her whole family in the US. But she was uplifted in Sweden during the May Queen ritual, where for the first time Dani could truly let out her sadness by the group that supports her. In Silence of the Lambs, the film is set in Pittsburgh for a majority of the screen time, not only, as mentioned before by the US Association, with individualistic ideologies along with capitalist ideologies, but the movie was specifically picked to be filmed in the city of Pittsburgh. The reason it was chosen was for its cold and uninviting presence, according to Jeffrey Schwartz in a documentary about the making of Silence of the Lambs. In combination with the individualistic ideologies that the US provides, along with isolation of Pittsburgh, both contribute to the portrayal of struggle of the feminist movement through Claire's own struggles with male characters. In the aspect of lighting, Midsommar makes an interesting attempt at raising unease about the collective society. As stated before, this film takes place in Sweden, but also occurs during the time of year where the sun never truly sets at night. The bright, almost sterile lighting exposes Dani's vulnerability while also illuminating her gradual empowerment, a subversion of the traditional horror trope of darkness that claims visibility and focal points. Additionally, the light removes some sense of privacy that, along with a more communal setting, empowers Danny to act outside of her friend's influence and make her own decisions, highlighting that when individual boundaries fall, feminism appears to just be allowing all people to decide to make their own fates for themselves. Silence of the Lambs conversely utilizes lighting to create barriers between groups. Unlike how in Midsommar, it brought down these barriers. Throughout the film, light and darkness act as opposing forces to display individuals. Within the prison sequence, Hannibal Lecter's cell is unnervingly well lit. His face is illuminated to emphasize his oppression surrounding her. During the climax, Claire is stalked in complete darkness while Buffalo Bill watches her unobstructed, to make a literal metaphor of the male gaze that objectifies women. Additionally, in this particular scene and the rest of the film, Claire is singled out. She's the only woman in sterile lights in the elevator, only woman running the police course's unsure, foggy lights, and the only one alone and blinded by the dark. For each scene, light mirrors how the U.S.'s individualism ideals treat her.